Welcome to Type C Tech Reviews. Today we're going to be unboxing the LG 32UPA. At any point during the video you want to check out this exact same monitor, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. But let's get this thing unboxed. Nice packaging, classic LG. It opens from this side because we have the front facing on that side. And pretty classic unboxing experience. Very well packed, as LG typically does. We have their signature silver stand here. Popping this open, this is the height adjustable part of the stand. And as you can see, this is a silver finish here with then the white on the back. I believe there's also a black version of this, but this one is the white version. It's all black front, but then silver base. Height and tilt adjustable part, but we'll go into that once it's on a desk. The bottom piece right here, very minimal, not a huge stand. All right, taking this plastic off. Again, silver on the bottom. This is all metal, and then this part is plastic with metal on the underneath side. Now let's put the stand together. All you need to do is line these two up, place those in. There's a high quality thumb screw down here, so all you need to do is just screw it in like that, and then you're good to go. Just like that, we got the stand. Now, also in the box, you have this little bag that opens up to have your power brick, which is actually fairly sizable, but this is a 4K monitor. You can see quite a beefy power brick right there, quite large, but you do have that 90-degree connection, which is nice for cable management. Then also in here, we have the other side of the cable, which is also in that 90-degree fashion right there with your wall, which is also kind of nice. As well as that, we have a USB Type-C, a HDMI, and then a cable management clip for the back. This is very nice. However, let's get to the panel. Let's take this off. There's the panel covered in plastic, a little bit harder to unbox because you do have to lift this up and then clip the stand in. So you're gonna take the stand, line up the top brackets right there. So you can see that's lined up, and then press down, and it's all clipped in, ready to go. All right, so lifting this 32-inch panel up, let's set this on the desk. Pretty much completely black from the front, except for this silver down here. And then on the back, we obviously have it being white and silver on the back. Now we're gonna turn this around. First, we're gonna go over the ports really quick. A USB Type-C, that's 60 watts of charging, that's display, and that's data, which is great. That's going to be the upstream port for these two USB Type-A's right here. Now, most of the time on LG panels, you're not gonna have any power going to those USB Type-A's unless the Type-C is in. That'll be in the full review, so subscribe below, and in a few days, the full review will be coming, but that may or may not be the case here. Then we have a display port and then two HDMI's. I would assume these are 2.0, and I would assume that's a 1.4. And then lastly, we have that 3.5mm audio out. With those out of the way, let's go over the stand, then we're gonna get this hooked up and kind of go over the panel itself, the first impressions over that, and then the menu system and all the features that it has first impressions wise. All right, so the stand, a good amount of tilt. It goes fairly close to the desk, as you can see there, and it goes high enough for most people. Tilt, you have a very significant amount of tilt here. It's very, very tilted, and we do not have any swivel at all here. Do we have rotation? We do, going fully vertical and then a little bit. Fully vertical, does it go both ways? It does not. So it only goes to the left side. So if you do get two of these and want to put them on either side of your desk, it'll only go one way. But it's pretty sweet that you can go fully vertical. With that, let's get this thing hooked up, get a first impressions of it. All right, guys, now with everything hooked up and it on the desk, it's a nice 32-inch screen size. Let's get this thing turned on, and you're gonna do that by this joystick under here. There's a joystick. That's how you're gonna control all of the monitor, whether that's on, off, or any of the settings. So click that in, you should hear a beep. There we go, that's actually a nice sounding beep, better than it used to be. All right guys, now with it on, we're gonna go into the menu system here. You do this by just clicking this in. It's very, very easy to use. Then we have inputs over here, which comes up like that. I do not think this has auto input switching, so you will have to manually change it, but it's very easy and simple to use. Coming back down here to the menu system, if you wanna power it off, you go up. If you wanna exit it, you just press in. It's very, very simple. We're gonna go into the settings, which comes up on this full left bar, which is very pretty. This is classic LG menu system for productivity or more work-oriented monitors. So we're gonna turn the brightness all the way up to 100%, and it's a good brightness. It's pretty much exactly what you would expect from a productivity monitor that's got good color accuracy. Probably, that's something we're gonna be testing in the review in depth. But then you have all of your other settings like this, the volume, which we're gonna turn up to 100%, and then just control it through our computer. You have waves max audio, and then the different color temperature settings, which obviously you can modify however way you want to. Then again, the inputs and your preset picture modes, which comes in custom. Then we have Vivid, HDR Effect, Reader, Cinema, sRGB, which is great, and DCI-P3, which is fantastic if you're doing color accurate work, FPS, RTS, color weakness, which is going to be kind of like a colorblind, a red and green colorblind mode, and then you have a calibration 1, which is very cool because what you can do is actually calibrate your setting and then store that calibration physically on the monitor rather than on your computer. So regardless of what system you're running, if you're gonna be switching between multiple different devices, you can keep that calibration on this, which is very, very good for color accurate, professional grade work. And then finishing it up with the menu system, you have the sound, which we actually got up in the quick settings, and then general. Smart energy saving. You wanna turn this off, especially if you're doing professional work. This is going to cause you to have the brightness vary, something that you don't want if you're doing color accurate work. So we're gonna turn that off, but if you are doing simple work, you may like that being on if you wanna consume less power and save the planet. All right, then we also have a power LED, which we can turn on, which will come on right under here if you can kind of get that on my hand. Maybe not, but there's a little power LED down there. We're gonna keep that on. You also have the buzzer sound, which is that beep sound, which is actually quite nice. And then we have an OSD size. This is the on-screen display. So we can actually change that to be substantially larger. So if you have worse eyesight, there you go. It's massive now. That's very cool, especially for people that are older. Now that finishes it up with the menu system. Now we're gonna go in and look at the resolution, 3840 by 2160. That's the max resolution, 4K at 32 inches, which is probably the perfect resolution to screen size. It also maxes out at 60 Hertz, and that's absolutely industry standard for your more work-oriented monitors. That's probably my only initial complaint is I would like 75 Hertz for all office monitors. We should just cut 60 Hertz out of it. It's just a little bit more luxurious, but it doesn't affect functionality. As well, as far as color output, at full 4K resolution with 60 Hertz, we can output 10 bits of color, which I absolutely expected from this. Now, one thing that probably most of you won't care about, but we should note it, is that going into this OSD, if we go into the picture settings, then you have a small section called Game Adjust. Now in here, you can actually change your response time settings, which is very cool, and you can turn FreeSync on because this does have FreeSync Premium. So we're gonna go ahead and turn that on. And as you can see, my NVIDIA card is recognizing that it is using G-Sync compatibility mode with that FreeSync, which is very cool if you do wanna do a little bit of gaming. That will be in the full review, although it'll be a little smaller section, obviously, because that's not what most people are gonna use this for. All right, the next thing we're gonna go over is the resolution. 32-inch screen size or 31.5-inch screen size at a 4K resolution. Come in here and you can see in this folder, on my Windows 10 desktop, you can see if you get really, really close in there. Now you can see in here, even with very small text on the desktop, no visible pixelation. If you put your eyes super close, you might be able to see it, but for most very small text and an average viewing distance, which I sit actually a little bit close, which is about right here, you're not gonna have any visible pixelation. This means if you wanna do coding, which you can do, obviously, because you can turn that thing all the way vertical, which would absolutely be great for that. So if you want to do coding, if you want to edit pictures like that, this is something that's going to be significantly better than a 1440p 27-inch panel or a 1440p 32-inch panel. Now, one more thing is just how is the image? The image is actually very, very pretty, as you would expect from a high color coverage and that beautiful 4K resolution. It's stunning. It's got a matte finish. Reflections in this room, very bright room, don't seem to be a problem. I would assume that this brightness is around 350 nits. That's what I would assume, but again, that will be in the full review. But it's very pretty. If you want to do content creation and then you want to do watching some Netflix, movies like that, or you just want a beautiful display to use every single day, this is absolutely it. But the big point here is going to be color coverage and accuracy, which is going to be in-depth reviewed in the full review coming in a few days. The one last thing that we're gonna test is the sound quality here. This does have internal speakers, so let's turn them on. We're gonna start it at 15% volume on my PC and 100% volume inside of the OSD. Very clear. This is actually surprisingly clear. Most monitor speakers, absolutely awful. I'll get a little bit closer and just let you listen. Now here's where the bass is gonna come in. Not really any bass. We're gonna turn it up a little bit louder now. Zero bass, but incredibly good clarity. Even though it's firing from, I'm gonna assume downwards because it doesn't seem like it's shooting back. It's way too clear. It would seem a little bit muffled. It was firing back, but I might be wrong. The clarity is incredibly good. So if you do want to listen to tutorials, if you do need to listen to Zoom meetings, if you want to put a webcam up here or something like that, absolutely, these are gonna work. And they get quite loud. That was only 50% volume. Let's turn them all the way up. Very loud. It gets very loud. So overall, it does lack bass because obviously there's no internal subwoofer, but these speakers are actually quite good. So that kind of wraps up the unboxing. If you want to check it out, Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. Full review coming in a few days with a heavy emphasis on color coverage, color accuracy, and everything revolving around being and using this as a productivity monitor. But this is Type-C Tech Reviews, and I'll see you guys in the review.